Welcome to Chinese history and mythology. Hello friends, welcome back to Chinese history and mythology. Last time we talked about how Qi had just set up a new ruler. Prince Xiaobai entered Linzi and officially took the throne, becoming Duke Zhuang of Qi. On the surface, the court looked joyful. Officials came one after another to offer congratulations. But Bo Shuja immediately cooled the mood. Bao Shuai reminded Duke Zhuang of Qi that this was not the time to celebrate. Prince Zhu was still in the state of Lu. He had Guan Yiwu and Xiao Hu by his side, and Lu was supporting him. In other words, Qi might have crowned a ruler inside the capital, but outside there was still a rival waiting for a chance. As long as this hidden danger remained, Qi could not truly be at peace. Duke Zhuang asked what should be done. Bao Shuai's judgment was very direct. After the Battle of Qianqi, the state of Lu was already frightened and its morale was badly shaken. This was the moment for Qi to push its troops to the Lu border again, and use military pressure to force Lu to hand the man over. Duke Zhuang immediately agreed and said the whole state would follow Bo Shuai's command. Bo Shuai then inspected the army and led the troops straight to Wenyang. He pressed toward the border, and at the same time redrew the boundary lines, clearly showing that Qi would not back down. He then sent Gongsun Xipeng with a letter to meet Duke Zhuang of Lu. The letter was very clear. A state cannot have two rulers. Qi had already completed the enthronement rituals at the ancestral temple, and Duke Zhuang was now the legitimate ruler. Prince Zhu still trying to compete for the throne meant disorder. Duke Zhuang did not wish to kill his own brother with his own hands, so he hoped that Lu would deal with Prince Zhu instead. The letter also named Guan, Zhang and Xiao, who saying that they had harmed the ruler of Qi, and asked that Lu punish them before the grand ancestral temple as well. More importantly, before Xipeng set out, Bo Shuai specifically instructed him that Guan Yiwu was a rare talent of the age. He must say this to Duke Zhuang of Lu face to face. If Lu intended to kill Guan Yiwu as well, he should remind Duke Zhuang of the incident of shooting the belt hook so that Duke Zhuang would understand Guan Yiwu's ability and spare his life. Let us continue. When Gongsun Xipeng arrived in Lu, he successfully met Duke Duke Zhuang read Bo Shuai's letter from beginning to end. When he finished, his expression grew heavy. He did not respond right away. Instead, he immediately summoned Shi Bo to the palace to discuss the matter. Duke Zhuang said to Shi Bo that he had not listened to his advice before, and as a result suffered a disastrous defeat at Qianqi. Now the matter was even more serious. Either he would kill Prince Zhu or keep him alive. Between these two paths, which one would be better for Lu? Shi Bo thought for a while and answered calmly. He said that Xiaobai had only just taken the throne and already knew how to use people. The speed of Lu's defeat at Qianqi was the best proof of that. From this alone, Prince Zhu's ability was clearly far inferior to Xiaobai. Now that Qi's army was already pressing at the border, it would be better to take this opportunity to kill Prince Zhu and show goodwill to Qi. That way, peace could still be negotiated. At that time, Prince Zhu, Guan Yiwu, and Xiao Hu were all staying at Shangdou. After hearing Shi Bo's words, Duke Zhuang made his decision. He sent Prince Yan with troops to suddenly strike at Shangdou. The action was swift. Prince Zhu was killed on the spot. Xiao Hu and Guan Yiwu were captured and escorted back to the capital of Lu. When they were about to be put into the prison carts, Xiao Hu suddenly looked up to the sky and burst into tears. As he cried, he shouted that for a son to die for filial duty was right, and for a minister to die for loyalty was also right, but these two must be clearly distinguished. He said that he had followed Prince Zhu to this point, and would never endure the humiliation of being placed in a prison cart. After saying this, Xiao Hu ran straight into a palace pillar and died instantly beneath it. Guan Yiwu, on the other hand, remained calm. He looked at everyone and said that, since ancient times, there had been ministers who died for their ruler, and also ministers who lived to serve their ruler. He said he would live and go to Qi to seek justice for Prince Zhu. After saying this, he stepped into the prison cart himself. Afterward, Shi Bo privately said to Duke Zhuang that, from Guan Yiwu's expression, he did not look like someone who would die on the road. He was a rare talent under heaven. If he survived, he would surely help Qi grow strong, and once Qi became strong, Lu would inevitably be threatened. Shi Bo suggested, thinking in reverse, Lu could request Qi to spare Guan Yiwu's life. If Guan Yiwu did not die, he would certainly remember Lu's favor, and this could be useful for Lu in the future. Duke Zhuang of Lu shook his head and said that the ruler of Qi hated Guan Yiwu deeply. Now that Prince Zhu had already been killed, it was still not certain that Qi would be satisfied. In his view, killing Guan Yiwu as well would be the safest choice. Shi Bo then added that if Guan Yiwu really could not be spared, it would be better to kill him outright and send his body to Qi. Duke Zhuang nodded and said that was the plan. At that moment, Gongsun Xipeng heard that Lu intended to kill Guan Yiwu and immediately rushed to the Lu court to see Duke Zhuang. Gongsun Shipeng said that the incident of Guan Yiwu shooting the belt hook of their ruler had been kept firmly in Qzi ruler's mind, and that Duke Zhuang wanted to kill Guan Yiwu with his own hands to vent his anger. If Lu sent over a corpse, it would actually be hard to explain. It would be better to send Guan Yiwu alive. Duke Zhuang believed him and changed his mind. He continued to keep Guan Yiwu locked in the prison cart and handed over to Gongsun Shipeng the sealed heads of Prince Gu and Xiaohu together. After thanking Duke Zhuang, Gongsun Shipeng escorted them and immediately returned to Keith. On the road, Guan Yiwu had already guessed Bo Shui's intention, but he was still uneasy. He thought to himself that Shi Bo was a very sharp man, and that if Lu regretted its decision and sent people to chase him, his life would be over. Thinking this, Guan Yiwu came up with an idea on the spot. Inside the prison cart, he composed a song called The Yellow Swan, and taught the guards to sing it again and again. As the escorts walked, they sang, and as they sang, they forgot their fatigue. The carts and horses kept moving forward without stopping. In less than 2 days, they had already crossed the Lu border. Sure enough, Duke Zhuang later regretted his decision and sent Prince Yan with troops to pursue them. But it was too late. They could not catch up and had to turn back. Guan Yiwu looked up at the sky, took a long breath, and said that today was the second time in his life that he had survived death. When the convoy reached Tongfubo, Shuya was already waiting there. The moment he saw Guan Yiwu, he looked as if he had recovered a priceless treasure. He immediately welcomed the cart into the residence and said that it was fortunate Guanzong had made it back safely. He ordered the prison cart to be broken open and released Guanzhong. Guanzhong said that if he had not followed Bo Shui's arrangements exactly, he would not have survived. Bo Shuya replied that since he was unharmed, they should return at once and that he would recommend him to the ruler. Guanzhong fell silent for a moment and then said that he and Xiaohu had served Prince Zhu together. Now Prince Zhu had not become ruler, and Guanzhong had not died for him. As a minister, he had already lost his moral standing. To now serve an enemy, he could not accept it in his heart. If Xiaohu knew of this in the afterlife, he would surely laugh at him. Bao Shuo replied seriously that those who aim to accomplish great things cannot be trapped by small shame, and those who seek great merit cannot be bound by minor scruples. Guanzhong had the ability to govern the world, but had never had the chance. The current ruler of Qi had great ambition, and if Guanzhong assisted him, Qi could easily dominate the other states. When that day came, his achievements would be known everywhere, and no one would care about his present situation. After hearing this, Guanzhong said nothing more. Bo Shui settled him at Tangfu and returned first to Linzi to see Duke Zhuang of Qi. Duke Zhuang asked whom he had gone to mourn. Bao Shuo said that he had mourned Prince Zhu, who was the ruler's elder brother. For the sake of the state, this outcome had been unavoidable, and as a minister, he could not fail to show grief. Duke Zhuang then asked what he was congratulating. Bao Shui replied that Guanzhong was an exceptional talent under heaven, and that he had brought him back alive. For the ruler to obtain such a minister, how could he not offer congratulations? Duke Zhuang said coldly that Guanzhong had once shot him with an arrow and nearly killed him, and that every time he thought of it he wanted to kill him. How could such a man be used? Bao Shuo answered that, at the time, Guanzhong recognized only Prince Zhu and not Duke Zhuang. If Duke Zhuang used him, now Guanzhong would fight the feudal lords for him. That arrow had not been shot for just one man. Duke Zhuang was silent for a while, and then said that he would listen and pardon him for now. After that, Bo Shui brought Guanzhong to his own home and discussed affairs of the realm with him every day. Duke Zhuang intended to appoint Bo Shuya as chief minister to manage state affairs, but Bo Shuya repeatedly declined, saying that he was not suited for governing the state and that the only person truly fit for the role was Guanzhong. In the end, Duke Zhuang agreed and ordered that Guanzhong be welcomed with the highest honors. On that day, Duke Zhuang personally went to the outskirts of the city to receive him. Guanzhong bathed, changed his clothes, put on his cap, held his tablet, and entered the city with the rights of a senior official. The people rushed to watch, and everyone was talking about how the man who had nearly taken Duke Zhuang's life was now being welcomed into the city with such ceremony. When the court historians saw all of this, they also wrote a poem to comment on it. The poem roughly meant that everyone was congratulating the ruler of Qi for gaining a great prime minister. But who could have imagined that this prime minister had once come straight out of a prison cart? It was precisely because Duke Zhuang of Qi could let go of his personal grudges on that day that people later were willing to call him a hegemon of the realm. Now let us turn to Guan Yiwu. Entering the court, as soon as he stepped inside, he knelt down and kowtowed, saying that he was guilty. Duke Zhuang of Qi did not let him remain kneeling. Instead, he personally helped him up and even granted him a seat. Guan Yiwu was extremely nervous. He said that he had been captured as a prisoner and should have been put to death. Yet the ruler had spared his life out of mercy. He said he felt unbelievably fortunate and dared not sit before the ruler, nor accept such treatment. Duke Zhuang replied that he had matters to ask him, and that Guan Yiwu had to sit down for him to speak properly. Hearing this, Guan Yiwu kowtowed once more and then cautiously took his seat, still clearly tense. Only then did Duke Zhuang begin to speak. He spoke at length and very plainly. He said that Qi was a great state with 1,000 war chariots. In the days of Duke Shi of Qi, the state had great prestige. The other lords feared him, and people even called him a minor hegemon. But after Duke Zhuang of Qi came to the throne, everything changed. Orders were given one way today and another way tomorrow, constantly revised and overturned, and the state grew more chaotic by the day. Qi's momentum declined rapidly and weakened with each passing day. Now that he himself had become ruler, the people's hearts were still unsettled, and the situation was extremely bad. He wanted to reform the state's policies and laws, establish a new system that would benefit both the country and the people and could truly be carried out, and then announce it to all. He asked Guan Yiwu what he thought of this idea and how it should be done. Guan Yiwu answered at once, starting with what he saw as the most fundamental matters of the state. He said that propriety, righteousness, integrity, and shame were the foundations on which a state could stand. Propriety meant that people must observe rules in their relations and understand order and hierarchy. Righteousness meant doing what should be done and refusing what should not. Integrity meant not being greedy, not taking or occupying things improperly. Shame meant knowing what actions were disgraceful and what must not be done. If these four were not promoted and taught, it was entirely possible for a state to decline or even perish, since the ruler wished to establish new laws. The first step was to re-educate officials and common people so that they understood these four principles. With this foundation in place, laws could stand firm like mountains, orders would be carried out once issued, and the state could restore its authority. Duke Zhuang pressed further and asked in detail how officials and common people could truly be made to accept such teachings. Guan Yiwu replied that for people to accept them, they first had to be cared for. The ruler had to treat them well before they would be willing to follow. Duke Zhuang then asked what it meant to truly care for them. Guan Yiwu explained point by point. He said the ruler must govern the state well, clan leaders must manage their families well, and people should help one another in times of trouble. When the ruler employed the people, he must give them proper compensation. Only then would those above and below feel close to one another, and the people feel secure. Past offenders should be forgiven as much as possible. The ancestral temples should be properly maintained. Those unable to form families should be helped to do so, allowing the population to grow. Punishments and penalties must be applied with great caution and used as sparingly as possible. Taxes should be light, and no one should be allowed to extort money at will. In this way, the people could gradually become prosperous. Among senior officials, a system should be established to recommend those of talent and virtue. These people should teach the population to read and understand proper conduct, so that everyone knew how elders and juniors, superiors and subordinates should relate. One more rule was especially important. Once laws were announced, they must not be changed casually. If laws were changed today and tomorrow, the people would lose trust in the court, and without trust, orders could not be enforced. All of these measures, he said, were ways of caring for the people. Duke Zhuang asked further how to stabilize the people once such care was in place. Guan Yiwu replied that scholars, farmers, craftsmen, and merchants were the four classes of the people. The children of scholars should continue to study. The children of farmers should continue farming. The children of craftsmen should remain craftsmen. And the children of merchants should remain merchants. These were long-established habits. Since people were familiar with their own work, they should not be forced to change professions. If people were not constantly pushed to switch roles, their lives would be steady and society would remain stable. Duke Zhuang then asked what should be done if weapons were insufficient. Guan Yiwu replied that, to ensure enough weapons, there should be a system allowing people to redeem punishment with goods. Those guilty of serious crimes could offer a suit of rhinoceros hide armor and a halberd to reduce their penalty. Those guilty of lesser crimes could offer shields and halberds. Those guilty of minor offenses could offer varying amounts of copper and iron. In cases where guilt was uncertain or responsibility was shared, a few bundles of arrows could be offered to close the case. In this way, the state would acquire large amounts of metal. High-quality metal could be forged into swords and halberds and tested on dogs and horses. Lower-quality metal could be made into hoes, sickles, and axes, whose usefulness could be tested directly in the fields. Duke Zhuang asked what to do if weapons were sufficient but funds were lacking. Guan Yiwu replied that ore could be smelted to mint coins, and seawater could be boiled to produce salt. Both benefited the entire realm. Everyday goods should be bought when cheap and sold when expensive, and the number of merchants should be regulated so commerce remained stable. Merchants would conduct trade regularly, goods would gather, and the state could levy taxes on these goods to fund the army. In this way, wealth would be sufficient. Duke Zhuang then asked what should be done if funds and weapons were ready, but troop numbers were insufficient and morale was low. Guan Yiwu answered that the key to military strength lay in quality, not quantity, and that true power came from popular support, not brute force. If the ruler trained the army well and equipped it properly, other states would do the same, and no advantage would come merely from weapons. If the ruler wanted a truly formidable army, he should avoid showing off abroad and instead quietly improve the quality of forces at home. Guan Yiwu requested to manage internal affairs and announced the system as military law for the entire state to follow. When asked what internal governance involved, Guan Yiwu replied that the state should be divided into 21 districts. Craftsmen and merchants would occupy 6 districts, while commoners would occupy 15. Craftsmen and merchants would ensure wealth, while commoners would ensure manpower. He explained that people should be organized into fixed units so they could be managed in peace and deployed in war. 5 households formed a unit with a leader, 10 such units formed a larger group, 4 of those formed a company, and 10 companies formed a district under a capable commander. These arrangements were to be written into military law. In clearer terms, 5 households produced 5 men to form a squad. 10 squads made 50 men under an officer. 4 such groups made 200 under a commander. 10 of those made 2,000 under a general. And 5 districts formed an army of 10,000 capable of independent operations. 15 districts could thus raise 30,000 troops to form 3 armies, with the ruler commanding the central force. Even in peacetime, soldiers should not remain idle. They should farm while training. Seasonal activities such as spring hunts, summer crop protection, autumn harvesting exercises, and winter hunting would all serve to train skills. Troops must be organized at home and trained in the outskirts, and once trained, should not be relocated casually. Soldiers should worship together in their units, swear to share life and death, salute one another, and pray for safety among households. Living together from generation to generation, growing up together, they would support each other at night, in battle, and recognize one another by day. Keeping formations intact, in joy, they would celebrate together. In death, they would mourn together. And in battle, they would hold their ground like stone, and charge forward without hesitation. With such 30,000 troops, one could campaign throughout the realm. When Guan Yiwu finished speaking, the court fell silent. Duke Zhuang had asked many questions, and Guan Yiwu had answered every one with clarity and precision. Now let us turn back to the state of Qi. Early the next morning, Duke Zhuang of Qi, Xiaobai, went to court. All the officials came to congratulate him, celebrating that he had finally secured his position as ruler. But Bo Shuya stepped forward and said something that immediately cooled the mood. He said that it was not time to celebrate yet. Duke Zhuang was surprised and asked why they could not celebrate. Bao Shuya spoke very plainly. He said that Prince Zhou was still in the state of Lu, Guan Yiwu and Shao, who were at his side, helping him, and Lu was openly and secretly supporting him. This trouble had not been dealt with. As long as this threat remained, celebrating now was far too early. Duke Zhuang thought for a moment, and asked what should be done next. Bao Shuya answered that after the battle at Qianxi, Lu had already been frightened. Now was the right moment. Qi should mobilize the 3 armies again and press directly to the Lu border. There was no need to attack cities or start a war. It was enough to send a clear signal and force Lu to hand over Prince Zhu. Bao Shuya made his point very clear. Once Lu saw Qi's army at the border, they would panic. When that happened, they would naturally do as Qi demanded. Duke Zhuang nodded immediately and said that all the troops of the state would follow Bo Shuya's command. After inspecting the armies, Bao Shuya led the forces straight toward Wenyang. He redrew the boundary line, making it clear that Qi was fully prepared and would not back down. Then he sent Gong Sun Zipeng with a letter to meet Duke Zhuang of Lu. The meaning of the letter was very clear. It said that Bo Shuya, minister of Qi, bowed repeatedly to the ruler of Lu. A household could not have 2 masters, and a state could not have 2 rulers. The ruler of Qi had already completed the accession rituals at the ancestral temple, and was now the legitimate ruler. For Prince Zhu to continue contesting the throne was an act of discord. The ruler of Qi, mindful of brotherly ties, was unwilling to kill him personally and therefore hoped that Lu would handle Prince Zhu instead. As for Guan Yiwu and Xiaohu, since they had harmed the ruler of Qi, they too should be dealt with before the ancestral temple. Before Gong Sun Zipeng departed, Bao Shuya called him aside privately. He told him that Guan Yiwu was an exceptionally rare talent and that every word of this must be conveyed truthfully to the ruler of Lu. If the ruler of Lu was wise, he would spare Guan Yiwu and not kill him. Gongsun Zaiping asked what to do if Lu insisted on killing him. Bosha replied that he only needed to mention one thing, the arrow that once struck the belt hook. Once the ruler of Lu heard this, he would understand Guan Yiwu's ability and believe that this man was worth keeping alive. Gongsun Zipeng nodded and set off at once. The story then shifts to Lu. When Gongsun Zipeng arrived in Lu, he delivered the letter to Duke Zhuang. Duke Zhuang read it and felt deeply unsettled. He immediately summoned Shi Bo to discuss the matter. Duke Zhuang said that last time he had not listened to Shi Bo's advice, and as a result, he had suffered a disastrous defeat at Jiangxi. Now things had reached this point. Should Prince Zhu be killed, or should he be spared? Which choice would truly benefit Lu? Shi Bo answered without hesitation. He said that Zhao Bai had only just taken the throne and already knew how to use capable people. Their crushing defeat at Qianxi proved that Prince Zhu simply could not match Zhao Bai. Now that Qi's army was pressing at the border, it would be better to kill Prince Zhu and use this chance to make peace with Qi. After hearing this, Duke Zhuang made up his mind. At that time, Prince Zhu, Guan Yiwu, and Shao, who were all staying at Shangdu, Duke Zhuang sent Prince Yang with troops. Once they went, the matter was settled. Prince Zhu was killed on the spot. Shao Hu and Guan Yiwu were arrested and taken back to the capital of Lu. When they were about to be put into prison carts, Shao Hu suddenly lifted his head and cried out loudly. As he wept, he said that a son dies for filial duty, and a minister dies for loyalty. These two things must be clearly distinguished. Since he had assisted Prince Zhu, he would never live on in humiliation. After saying this, he slammed his head into a pillar of the hall and died on the spot. When it was Guan Yiwu's turn, he was calm. He said that, since ancient times, there had been ministers who died for their ruler, and also ministers who lived on to serve their ruler. He said that he would live and go to Qi to seek justice for Prince Zhu. After saying this, he climbed into the prison cart himself. Shi Bo later spoke privately to Duke Zhuang. He said that Guan Yiwu did not look like a man who would die easily. His gaze was steady. Shi Bo suspected that someone would come to save him. If Guan Yiwu lived, he would surely be of great use to Qi in the future. Once Qi grew strong, Lu would be in danger. Duke Zhuang thought for a moment and said that the ruler of Qi hated Guan Yiwu deeply. Even if Prince Zhu had been killed, Guan Yiwu might still not be spared. It would be safer to kill him outright and send his body to Qi. As they were speaking, Gongsun Zipeng had already heard the news and rushed into the palace to see Duke Zhuang. He said that Guan Yiwu had once shot their ruler, and their ruler wished to kill him personally. If Lu sent a corpse instead, it would be hard to explain. It would be better to send him alive. Duke Zhuang believed this explanation, so Guan Yiwu was kept in the prison cart. The heads of Prince Zhu and Shao, who were sealed in boxes and handed over together to Gongsun Zipeng. After thanking Duke Zhuang, Gongsun Zipeng immediately escorted them back to Qi. On the road, Guan Yiwu had already guessed Bo Shua's plan, but he still felt uneasy. He thought that Shi Bo was cunning, and if Lu changed its mind and sent pursuers, his life would be over. So he came up with a plan. Inside the prison cart, he composed a song called The Yellow Swan. He taught the escorts to sing it again and again. As they sang while traveling, they forgot their exhaustion, and the carts never stopped moving. In less than 2 days, they had already crossed the border of Lu. As expected, Duke Zhuang later regretted his decision and sent men to chase after them. But it was too late. Guan Yiwu looked up at the sky, let out a long breath, and said that today was the second time he had come back to life. When they reached Tangfubo, Shuya was already waiting. The moment he saw Guan Yiwu, he stepped forward and personally ordered the prison cart to be broken open, releasing him. Bo Shuya said that it was wonderful that he had survived. Guan Yiwu replied that if he had not followed Bo Shuya's arrangements exactly, he would never have lived to reach this point. Bo Shuya immediately said that since he was safe, they would return to Linzi at once, and he would recommend him to the ruler. What happened next was the true turning point. A man who had once nearly shot Duke Guan of Qi to death, a man who had just been released from a prison cart, could he truly be trusted and put to use? Could Duke Guan of Qi really let go of the hatred from that arrow? How would Guan Yiwu finally step into the court of Qi? And from this moment on, in what direction would the fate of Qi begin to move? We will continue this story in the next episode.
the sky in light. Nuwa healed the broken heart. Fuxi traced the world's design. Every age leaves stories bright. Yaya dynasty shaped bronze. Shang dynasty cast oracle bones. Thou dynasty built right. Qin dynasty forged the great walls. Han dynasty opened Silk Road winds. Three Kingdoms dynasty turned war to tales. Jin dynasty led ink and mountains bloom. Sui dynasty carved the Grand Canal. Tang dynasty crowned the world with art. Song dynasty raised learning's flame. Yun dynasty swept the northern plains. Ming dynasty strengthened walls again. Qing dynasty closed an ancient end. Every age leaves stories bright. History and myth ignite in endless light. China's history moves in mystery through the night. Footsteps of this land enchant the world in light. Han dynasty opened Silk Road winds. Three Kingdoms dynasty turned war to tales. Qin dynasty led ink and mountains bloom. Sui dynasty carved the Grand Canal. Tang dynasty crowned the world with art. Song dynasty raised learning's flag.